Hey, what is up? William Gill here, fitness coach for the last 7 or so years, sales trainer for the last 2 to 3 years, and also helping people with their mindset and becoming the best version of themselves. So, spirituality. Let's talk about that because spirituality is it's a word that can trigger a lot of people, and then it's also a word that can connect a lot of people. And why is that? Because spirituality has a core concept that many people, when they try to understand it, take it very differently. And I'm going to use myself as an example so you can understand going into, if this is an area that you want to explore, maybe some things to be cautious about with your experience of it so you can stay level-headed as you progress through the journey. I'll give you an example. My first exposure to going on the journey of spirituality, I was very much dealing with a lot of personal conflict. So going into it, it was amazing because it exposed me to a lot of healing, so to speak, and being exposed to love for the first time, where I really internalized it for a very long time. So me going from this place of working so hard, trying to prove myself, trying to look a certain way to the world, being stressed constantly, coming from a place of anger and underlying sadness. I did that for years, and that was a stressful time. So when I had got exposed to this spiritual journey, being around people who presented so much unconditional love to me, it was a beautiful thing. I was very uncomfortable, but also at the same time, I was drawn to it. And what had happened was, because I started getting exposed to different concepts and different views on how the world actually works, that I started questioning everything. I questioned everything in my previous way of living, my entire belief system. And what that had done is that it left me in certain phases empowered, but then also feeling disempowered as I did it, because my entire identification process had started shifting and I had to start questioning myself. I didn't have to, but I did start questioning myself. And that can be tough to people, right? And sometimes when you start going through that process and you're questioning your sense of identity, your ego can kind of spark up a defense mechanism. And this is what happened with me, was that I had started demonizing spirituality at one point. And I was like, well, it's woo-woo and all of this. And there was a degree, and I actually didn't believe that, by the way, but there was a dialogue that had started questioning some sides of spirituality, but the whole thing was actually, it wasn't spirituality. It was my interpretation of spirituality. When you go through that process, there is a sense of instability because you're shaking your viewpoint of the world. So it's very easy to go, oh, well, I'm getting less results doing this. I'm not happy with this. So then spirituality is a bad thing because the instant result that I'm getting is something less, right? It's less compared to the old framework of living that I had experienced. So it's very easy to demonize it because of that. But it's a short-sighted perspective, because naturally when you're challenging the construct of your thoughts, there's going to be a period of instability and questioning, and maybe not having 100% certainty of how you're going to continue to move forward. But it also lays the ground to be able to reconstruct a new thought pattern, a new career path, a new way of living. And that is the beauty in it, that you might not actually get right away. What I had done was that I went into it, I had the shake, and I go, oh, it's bad, without the long-term hindsight. And this is why it's important to have valuable people around you who can give you the perspective so you can hold on to that. To be able to understand and go, well, no, this is the foundation. This is the process where it is going to feel a bit shitty. It is going to feel like I'm lost. But actually, in the big picture, I'm setting myself up for something that's maybe more aligned with really what my soul wants, more aligned with actually how I actually just want to live, what my heart really, really is calling for. Now, going through that, it's very easy So number one was the perspective, right? It's very easy to demonize and be careful of that. The other path is that it's also very easy to almost go off the face of the earth, because there's a lot of people who haven't explored this spiritual world. And when you start learning certain teachings, it's very easy to disassociate with a lot of people and go, well, they're not on my level. And this is a ego conversation that starts happening. And there's this weird positioning of a power play. And it's almost a spiritual ego, so to speak, that actually goes against the teachings of spirituality when you learn about it, right? Which is also that we are all connected. We all come from the same place. So be very mindful of how your ego responds to these teachings, and actually, are you using this for good, or are you actually positioning yourself again from a place of insecurity of, oh, I'm better than them and they're less than me, which comes from insecurity, because if you even feel the need to position yourself better, it's because you probably feel less, right? And that's something that happens a lot. So I know people in my life who have a bad thought process of spirituality because they think of those people. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can actually learn from it, understand the concepts, and use it for good. But the thing is, it's very easy to go off the face of the earth with the concepts and go, oh, well. And by the way, when I say concepts, I'm only saying that to demonstrate an example of new ideas, all right? But it's very easy to take that and go, oh, well, they don't understand that. I'm just going to, do my own thing. But I do find there's this middle ground, because there are certain games that we play in this world, and whether it's really the most important thing in the world or not, that's okay. But it's also a trade-off, right? Like, you got to ask yourself, what do you really want? Do you want to, the deeper you explore spirituality and, let's say, all different dimensions and all of this stuff, it's like, okay, beautiful. But as well, I find as you're doing that, there's a calibration that has to happen if you have other people who, let's say, rely on you, right? So there's this interesting balance of exploring this and then also managing this. And it's very easy to just go full exploration if you're like me, and then kind of maybe neglect this. But what I've found is, like, I still value certain things here, certain relationships. And I guess, like, this is something that I'm still figuring out what that balance is, because there might be an old version of oneself or that values these things, but actually the further you go down this route of self-exploration, so to speak, maybe you won't value those things anymore. And that's something that I'm still discovering. But as I'm going through this, it's like, well, actually, I do, at least as of now, value these things. So I have to find the middle ground of exploring this and then also managing this. And that's just the game that I'm going to play right now. And that's okay. So I'm saying that to say that just be mindful how you're going to go about this journey, and be mindful how you're going to first of all, take the lessons, and be very mindful where you're coming from with these things. Like, it was very easy for me to demonize certain parts of spirituality because it shook my reality, right? But in reality, it's like that came from fear. That thought pattern came from fear. If you've watched previous videos, I talk about where you're coming from, fear or love, right? Love is expansive, nothing to worry about, everything to gain, creativity. Fear is obviously fear of losing things. And obviously, I was coming from fear. I was like, oh, it's bad. Like, there was a fearful thought pattern. And you have to just be very mindful of that, okay, as you go through it, because it's very easy to misinterpret, and it's very easy to start blaming other things external outside of yourself when your reality gets shaken. And for me personally, in my journey, as I continue to go deeper and deeper and deeper, understand how the world works and develop a closer relationship to myself, it's very mindful that I also improve my communication skills with people around me, so they're all on the same page. And actually, this is a benefit. This is not something that is being used as a perceived negative. And that is your responsibility as you delve into that journey. I'm saying this from a place of love and experience. It's a beautiful thing. There's so many pros to exploring this. And I know I'm being vague in this video, but you will understand as you go through it, and refer back to this video as you go through that, and you can actually start understanding what I'm talking about on a deeper level. Anyways, I hope that helps. If there's anything that maybe you got questions along this journey, you want some kind of support, you can always reach out. My Instagram is in the description. I have my website, email, newsletters. It's all there. But you're more than welcome to contact me. You're more than welcome to keep in touch. And I'm more than happy to help in any way that I can. Hope that helps.